Welcome to Journeys of Impact. Extraordinary people, extraordinary places, extraordinary change. This isn't just a show, it's a movement in motion. Join Lori as she travels beyond the expected to meet the changemakers, dreamers, and doers who are transforming communities around the world and right in their own backyards. From powerful conversations to unforgettable adventures, every episode is packed with heart, humor, and moments that stay with you long after the journey ends. This is where travel meets purpose, where storytelling sparks action, and where creativity turns ideas into real impact. Through candid interviews, immersive local experiences, and playful challenges, Journeys of Impact brings you closer to the people and places proving that change doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be real. You'll laugh, you'll reflect, you'll be inspired to see the world and your role in it differently. Because extraordinary change starts with one bold idea, one courageous step, and one ripple that grows into something bigger than we ever imagined. Welcome, your host, Lori McDowell.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Journeys of Impact. I am excited to be recording this episode live today. I'm recording from my house in Houston, and I have a special guest. One of my coaches and my good friend, Jace Souter, will be joining me, and we're going to talk today about God nudges and how sometimes you get that little nudge and you don't really understand it, but it really does send you on your mission. So let's bring up Jace and let's start this amazing conversation.
Hey, Lori, great to be here. Awesome. I love that intro, by the way. The thing is badass.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's fun. So I so happy to have you here. Where are you today, Jace? You're in Florida, right?
Yeah. So talking about God nudges. Oh boy, have I had a bunch of God nudges lately. And we'll share about that. Yes, I'm coming to you from my dad's like kitchen area. And do you like the wallpaper?
My mom has the same wallpaper, I think.
It's actually the funniest wallpaper. I'll show you guys a view because it's grapes, but then as it goes around the edge, it's just at the top, so it looks like a grapevine. So yeah, normally I would come to you guys from like a beautiful studio and stuff, and here I am today.
That's awesome. So we both had a lot of things going on in our life, changes, nudges to do something. And I know you have for years been a speaker training, selling from speaking, and personal growth has been a big part of that. And you've had some changes in the last months or so, some big changes. What do you want to share a little bit about like your story and how you came to what you're doing today?
Sure. So talk about God nudges. There's been a few inflection points in my life where I felt like God gave me a tap on the shoulder and said, "Hey, do this," or gave me an inkling like I should go in a certain direction. And I'd like to, if I may, I'd like to back up and share with you about 2018. Most of my business came from this one stage that I was on a lot. And at this one stage, it was probably 80 to 90% of my business. And I remember thinking, if this guy sells or if he just gets tired of me, like I'm going to lose a big portion of my business. I need to get on other stages and I need to get on the internet. And so I had these clients and I hired them to get me on Facebook and run ads. And as a part of what they taught, I didn't even know what they taught. And I felt that was a real God nudge to like have them get me on Facebook. They taught how to put together a hybrid program, which was $5,000. And a hybrid meant you would coach like with group calls weekly, as well as a library. And so I started to set all that stuff up. And right after that, COVID happened. And so we started running ads and then COVID happened. And then my old business model is I would travel somewhere live, speak at an event, sell a ticket to my event for $1,000. People come to my event and I would upsell them into a coaching program and we would do it all in person. Well, because I'd followed this God nudge, I already had a 5K hybrid program set up. I already had something set up that I could do online. Oh, sorry about that. That's my alarm for this show. And so then we just started running ads and we started selling into that. And then when COVID happened and Zoom became a thing, I started just offering discovery calls and selling right into this 5K program. And because I already had it set up, I could hit the ground running once I saw this Zoom thing was a thing. And we actually exploded during that time. That's when we had our best years ever. And we really had one of those moments where the sales graph goes from good to like great. That was actually an amazing time. That was a breakthrough time for us. But I wouldn't have been prepared if I hadn't listened to that first nudge. And so I've seen this throughout how much you want me to talk? I can keep going. So I've seen this over and over. And I've also when I didn't follow it and what happened then?
Yeah, that's the thing, following them is kind of, you followed that one and it worked out, but I've had nudges that I followed and nudges that I didn't. And I know when you follow the nudge, it often, it's scary because you're like following, like you feel like you're jumping off a cliff and I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, when I was fired from my job, I got that nudge that said, you're not getting another job. You're going to live your purpose. You're going to do something different. And I was and I was like, okay, well, I have, a family and no job and not enough savings to live forever. What should I do? But it just felt so clear. Sometimes they're so clear, but they are terrifying. So
it's one thing. It's another thing to follow them, right? You know that story of the guy that dies and goes, gal, whoever goes to heaven, and St. Peter's giving him a tour of this big mansion. And like, oh, you get to live here. And they're going in all these different rooms and there's all these blessings happening and all this amazing, I haven't told this story forever, but like all this amazing food and all these amazing parties, all this great stuff. And then there's this one room and St. Peter's like, oh, don't look in there. And the guy's like, well, I want to look in there. And St. Peter's like, oh, don't look in there. And the guy's like, no, I'm looking. And the guy looks and it's filled with all these blessings and treasures and relationships and experiences and people and money and all this other good stuff. The guy's like, why can't I go in this room? I want this room. This is the best room. And he's like, what's this room? And St. Peter says, oh, that's all the blessings God had for you if you just listen to him. And so
I had not heard that story before, but
yeah. And I saw that happen to me about 13 years ago. God gave me a vision for a business, and it was a largely Christian-based business, and I didn't do it. I recorded like 10 podcasts that I never released. I had all these ideas. I had a great idea. I had an idea for a book called Faith It Till You Make It, which I thought was like the best name for a book, and it was stories of faith. Instead of fake it till you make it, faith it till you make it. And I never did it. And then if you see recently in the last 5-6 years, how Christian-based businesses and coaching for Christians has just taken off. And I see, oh my gosh, if I had just listened to that, if I followed that God nudge, where we would have been and the positioning we would have had and how we could have really caught that wave. And I could see like, wow, I really messed up by not doing that. It's not like bad stuff happened, but I missed out on a bunch of blessings. And the other thing that happened is, this is what I believe as a Christian, and whatever you believe in, it's probably similar, is that the Holy Spirit's like a gentleman. And when we don't listen, it won't force its way on us. So what happens is, if we don't listen to the God nudges, they get quieter and they get quieter and they get. And so just recently, I've had some really loud ones, and I've been following them with all my heart. I'm determined to get to the promised land.
That's funny. Yeah, you've had quite a few big ones going on that really have changed your whole life. So I know you're doing something really cool with your speaker training with our dynamic delivery program. So why don't you tell us a little bit of, well, tell us where the first nudge you got, I guess, so recently.
Sure. So back in 2006, I feel like God gave me this model for personal growth, and I'll just call it EBAR so we have like a way to talk about it. And I've been teaching that yearly at a breakthrough event, and it's great. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've had so many people say, this is the best thing you do. This is amazing. It's like the best event. It's called Dynamic Life, where we teach this EBAR concept. And for about 1.5 years, God's been like nudging me, hey, bring this to the masses, bring this to the masses. And last year I signed up for a leadership program to bring it out. And I kind of did it a little bit. And I was doing some deep breakthrough work last November. And I felt like God said, just give it away. And so I rented this studio in Canada. I did a 3-day event, just made it free and just gave the content away. And then I was back in Canada doing some breakthrough work in February, and I was connecting with God. I was journeying, and I feel like God. Oh, by the way, in November after this cruise that we'd been on, I reunited with my dad, and we've been estranged for like 17 years. And so I got this leading. Oh, sorry, I have to back up again because there's all
Back
these
up
pieces.
again. Well, it's okay.
If you are a guy and you are married to a woman, I really believe in women's intuition. Women have more peripheral vision than we do, and women see more colors than we do. And I think biologically, women are wired to take in more input than a man is. And the women, I think, also pick up energies that most guys don't. And so, this women's intuition, I think you all, by your nature, you're tapped in. And like, this is Women Thrive Media. I think women have these capacities and skills that they're tapped in to see things that most guys don't. And so, Betsy, since 2024, has been saying, I think we're supposed to sell all our stocks, all our Bitcoin, and God's going to call us to invest in the kingdom. And right before I went to Canada for this last breakthrough event I did in February, she were having dinner at this barbecue place, and she looks at me again. She says, I think we're supposed to call our Bitcoin. God's going to call us to move, and it's going to be like Lot and his wife. And Lot and his wife lived in this city that was being demolished. And it wasn't that where we were was evil. It was more that the angels told Lot, run and don't look back. And Lot's wife looked back. She turns into a pillar of salt. People, I think it's a literal story what happened. Also, it's a metaphor when we're going to that new place, when we're going to the place God calls us to, our higher intuition calls us to, or like we're like jacked up about. If we start looking back at where we've been, it makes it really hard to run forward. It's like sprinters are trained. Quit looking around for who's coming, just run for the finish line, right? Because it slows you down. So, and I'll talk about how I started to slow down. So she says this the night before I go out, and I go out and I have this breakthrough work, and I feel like God says, Jace, go move to Florida and show my dad your love. Move across the street from him. And I'm like, okay. Or that's, he didn't say move across the street. He said move to where your dad is. And I had this vision of walking at my dad's house, and my house was over there. And in that same vision, God says, we have a program called Black Belt Speaker Training. We sell it for like $26,000 on payments, $20,000 on one pay. And I feel like God says, I want you to give it all away. And I say, when you say give it all away, what do you mean?
You mean all?
Yeah. His voice goes, give it all away. What do you, and I'm like, when you say give, what do you mean? And it's like, give it. I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to give this. And it was so clear. And what I got is we're supposed to run to Florida without looking back. It was exactly what my wife had said, exactly what she said. So I flew from Canada to Houston a couple of days later after I finished the course, picked up Betsy. The very next morning, we moved to Florida. We started looking for houses. And in our hearts, we moved to Florida then. That was literally, and then we went back to Boise, got just a smattering, just a small amount of stuff, plus things we needed for one of our upcoming events. And we traveled. Within 3 weeks, we were fully in Florida, living in Florida within 3 weeks of that guiding. Because like we're keeping our house in Boise. That's no longer our home. It'll be like a retreat center. But here's where I started to look back. We went to Boise and we were going to go for 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, this would be a good time. I have a gym here I like. I have chiropractors I like. I have things to start good. Because the winter time, I kind of like got off my healthy habits. And I'm like, I'll plug into that stuff. I'll do all that. And Betsy's like, I think this is slowing us down from being in Florida. I think we should just go to Florida. And she's right. And I'm there in Boise and I love it. And I love my friends and I love my church and I love my gym and I love so much of the stuff there. And I started having a really hard time moving. And so I was looking behind me and metaphorically and literally, I was like turning into that pillar of salt. I was really starting to like slow down and second guess it. And if you know anything about the story of I've talked a lot there. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, no, I love the idea of, and I love hearing this story, but the idea of that second guessing and that looking behind it, because I think it's something that our natural nature is to do it. You know, we get this message and it's hard to listen, especially when it is something unexpected, something you weren't planning for, and just jumping in. I mean, so many people, you know, I know one of your big teaching points is say yes and take a step. Maybe that helped you do that, but it's that looking back is so hard not to do. but I see what you're saying, how it does slow you down. And when you look back, and I think people do that in their business, they do that in their life. They know the direction they're supposed to go. They get that nudge and they do keep looking back. So you've done a pretty good, I mean, you shared a little bit that you had that looking back, but maybe you can share before you tell the rest of the story. Like, do you have some tips to help people say yes and take a step without, to follow that nudge?
Yes. So I want to talk about the tribe of Israel, because this really was impactful on Betsy. Betsy's my wife and me as we made this journey. So the story of Exodus, which is the tribe of Israel were all slaves in Egypt. And so they're slaves. And like all this nasty stuff, they're literally slaves, right? So that's when you hear about, if you know, familiar with it, God sends all these plagues, and finally the Egyptians say, all right, go, just leave. And so the Israelis have to go, but the Red Sea's in the way, but they have to step in faith. They have to start going, but there's this barrier, but then God removes the barrier. But they have to be moving towards the barrier first. And then they move through the Red Sea, and it's like this unsurmountable obstacle disappears only because they first take the steps. And then they're in the desert, and a couple things I want to share, because I think this is most people's entrepreneurial journey and most people's life journey. They get in the desert, and that was my time between getting this thing to go to Florida and then coming out here immediately after Canada, but then going back to Boise and starting to have second thoughts. They're in the desert, and they're like, we have nothing to eat, but God provides them food. And then they start bitching about the food. And then they start bitching about this, and they start bitching about that. And they literally say, we were better off in captivity. We were better off being slaves. And so I think a lot of people do that as entrepreneurs, and also on your personal growth journey. Something not enough people talk about. I'm going to start bringing this out more. A lot of times in your personal growth journey, like your life is here, and then you have huge breakthroughs. And for a bit, your life goes here. I'd love to hear your spin on that, Lori. Like, why do you think it does that?
Right. Well, I think you really need to, I mean, I do think you need to go through the valley to get to the top, that valley is your learning experience. You've got to learn that, well, I mean, life is not, I love life. Life's great. I'm one of the most happiest, joyful people, yet life has pain and suffering and things in it, that bad things happen in life. And I think my thought is that journey teaches you that the bad things you are just something you go through, and that you go through and you come up on the other side. Because if you can't go through those bad things, then they're going to like hold you back. They're going to make you suffer, so like the pain is not optional, it's there, but the suffering is the finding that it's a miserable place. You could still find joy in the pain. And I think that's, for me, finding joy through that suffering. You go through those bad things and you come out higher on the other side. And that's really where you grow and you learn. And if you don't do that, it's really hard. I know when I lived in Southern California, it was beautiful every day. And I stopped appreciating being outside because it never rained. It was, and it's like, you got to appreciate the good. You've really got to see all of life.
Totally. So you said something I think is beautiful. Like, Betsy and I are really intentional on noting to ourselves, we're in a mountaintop time right now. We're in such a good time. And then we're in a valley going, oh, we're really in a valley. It's something I read this valley I was going through last year. It said, the valleys are where you get fed. And I was like, what? And then I thought about it. If you think about literal mountains and plains and valleys, the valleys are all where all the lush fruit is. And
the water.
The valleys are where you go and you get fed for that next mountaintop. You get fattened up, you get ready, you get refreshed for that next mountaintop climb. The valleys are so critical. And typically a lot of us, we really change and shift in valleys. So back to my story. So the other thing about the tribe of Israel is the journey from being slaves to the promised land is 10 days. And they sent spies into the promised land, and the spies saw it, and they could have gone right in, but they got scared. And so when they came back, 10 of the 12 spies said, we can't go. Can you hear me okay still? I accidentally put it in my headphones. And so 10 of the 12 spies said, it's filled with giants. We can't take it. It's too much. And so what happened is, because they didn't have the faith to step, because they say yes and take a step, because they weren't able to say yes and take a step in faith in the face of their fear, because of their fear, they stopped. this is such a critical thing. By definition, your comfort zone is where you live, and everything outside of your comfort zone is uncomfortable. And the number one tool your subconscious uses to keep you stuck is fear. And so, a great barometer of knowing that you're on the right path in life is massive, massive, massive fear. And so, the spies are like, we can't go in. So, what God does is He has them get lost, wander the desert for 40 years. Or I don't know if they were lost, but they just had to wander for 40 years. But really, what they were doing is they were killing off the people who didn't have enough faith to go in, and they were making the tribe solely dependent on God, solely faithful, so that those people, when they had a chance to go in, they're like, well, God's been taking care of us all this long time. Of course we can go in. Is that making sense so far? So
That does
I
make
remember
sense.
Betsy and I are here. So we're living with my dad for a little bit. We're looking for houses. We can't find the house we want. We're looking for, like, there's a house I thought we'd get a really good deal on. And then we started looking at bigger houses for retreat centers. And we got really clear on what we wanted in a home. And it made the price range a little bit higher, but I felt like God said, are you going to trust me moving into this promised land or not? And Betsy and I had this conversation. We said, yeah, we're going to trust you. And the next day we found a home, and it was a lot more than we had anticipated spending on a home. And so we said yes, though, and we put in an offer. And we put in an offer, though, like at what would be like a substantial discount, and we got it. Like, we got over 10%.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And it'll be the most expensive home I've ever purchased. And yet we're trusting God. And we're saying yes, and we're moving in. And it was really interesting to me that right after we said, yes, we're going to be faithful. Yes, we're going to move in. Yes, God, we're going to trust that you're going to help us make enough sales to pay for this bigger thing. You know, we have money saved and all that, but we're really trusting that sales are going to come. Plus, we want this place to be an overflow of love where we can bring people into our home for coaching and power sessions and power days. And like, it'll be radical. There's a room in the house, Lori. I don't know if I've showed you the 20 by 25 room upstairs with this big couch. It's perfect for masterminds. So
Right.
we said yes. And it was like saying yes the very next day. But if we had let fear stop us, if we had said, oh, I don't know if I can afford that, blah, 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 you know, if we hadn't even tried for the mortgage, because I'm not so sure, and where would we be? Well, we said yes. And it's like this blessings are just opening up for us.
That's amazing. We're going to come back to that in a minute, but first we need to pause for a few words from our sponsor, and then we'll be back and we'll talk a little bit more about this big God nudge and saying yes, and what Jace is doing with the Black Belt training and dynamic delivery, and how it's really going to change the world, I think. So we'll be back in a moment. In life, I meet many people who are stuck, people who are unfulfilled, unhappy. They don't have control of their lives. They don't know how to live the life they desire. I wrote a book that will show you how to become empowered, how to live the life that you dream of, a life filled with joy. This book explores the intersection between trauma and being stuck. It embraces that you are empowered to live the life you desire. It'll help you get past that. It'll help you find joy. We all have the power to live the life we desire. We are worthy, we are capable, and we can do it. I was inspired to write this book because I met so many people who were stuck, people who didn't know how to get out of their own way. I was there myself. It wasn't easy, but now I'm living the life I'm happy with. I made the changes, and I'm empowered to take control of my own life. I can't control what happens to me, but I can control how I react to it. The world is a joyful place. It's full of opportunities and possibilities. This book will help you find that joy. This book includes stories of the heroes who live among us, people who have faced unimaginable tragedy, and they've got beyond it. And now they live a fulfilling life, a life full of joy, a life full of happiness, and they help others do the same. In this book, you will hear their stories, you will meet them, and you will learn from them. This book looks at what traits these people share. It looks at what enables them to get over the incredible obstacles they have faced. It looks at what helps them succeed. I also share my stories. One of the coolest stories was when I was in South Beach with my mother. I was staying at a very trendy hotel, and as we were going out for dinner, I just felt really subconscious. I didn't have anything to wear that would
Hello?
in As I'm sitting down there, I'm looking around, I felt confident. I didn't care that I didn't look like them. I didn't have to. And an amazing thing happened. I started talking to the bartender. I started talking to the people around them. I told them I'm an author and I'm taking notes for my book. Suddenly, I was the interesting person in the bar. They were asking me questions. I was the cool, trendy one. What an amazing change. You can make changes like this as well. My perspective on this book is unique because I have lived there. I have been in a place where I was unhappy. I was fired in a horrendous way, but I got past that. It inspired me. Today I am living the life I desire, but it hasn't always been that way, and it isn't easy. In this book, you will laugh. Maybe you will cry. It'll bring out your emotions, but hopefully you'll learn something. Hopefully this book will teach you how to focus, how to change what you want to do, how to take control. In this book, I am sharing stories from my life and the life of others. These are stories full of hope, stories full of joy, stories full of love. My wish for this book is that it will inspire you, that it will inspire those who are unhappy and want to change their life, that it will inspire those who are stuck or those who are struggling. I want this book to help you get what you deserve. I want this book to help you live the life you dream of. You will love this book if you're thinking about a change. If you're thinking about a career change, maybe starting your own business. You will love this book if you're stuck. And you will love this book if you just want a little bit more. More happiness, more success, more fulfillment, more joy, even more love. My name is Lori McDowell, and I am the author of The Reinvention Mindset. Hi, everyone. Do you want more impact? Do you want more income in your life? And do you want more fun? If you answered yes to all these questions, a retreat can be the answer for you. A retreat can be amazing. Imagine that you're selling your offer before you even made it. Like my client, Amy. Amy attended one of my retreats and she got 3 new clients without even trying to sell anything, just by getting to know people. That's the magic that a retreat could bring. And a retreat doesn't have to be hard. I have a program called Done For You Retreats. We can do a retreat just for you. I can connect you with partners and we can do collaborative retreats. You can host your own retreat. I can help facilitate. There's so many ways to make a retreat work. And the best way to do that is to book a call and to find out how a retreat can work for you. So if you're interested, if you've ever thought about hosting a retreat, if you've attended retreats and you're wondering what's next, if you have a community and you want a way to get more impact, more income, a better experience, a retreat might be the best option. So I'm Lori McDowell, founder of Reimagine You Strategies and the Done For You, Run For Your Retreat program. And we can make your retreat fun, easy, effortless, and profitable. So book a call, book Lori, Lori.net. Book a call, booklori.net, and let's discuss how you can make your retreat profitable, impactful, and a lot of fun. Have a fantastic day. Okay, well, we are back with Jace, and we were talking about God nudges, and we were talking about, whoops, oh, there he is, he's back. So, we were talking about when people don't listen to God nudges and what happens and how that fear stops them. And I think that trust is a big thing, and that faith, believing is, it really, I mean, people, in business owners so many times too, that, I mean, I think believing is the center of that business. People don't want to make investments in themselves and their business because they don't believe they can make that money back. And by trusting yourself and listening to those nudges is when you really do start to grow your business.
Yep. Can you hear me okay? I switched to my headphones.
Yes,
There's
I can hear
noise.
you.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say, there's more to the journey than just moving to Florida. Um,
Right.
so so i- I had these two awesome women working with me, Natalie and Desi. And one of the things that got clear on in October of last year was um, I wanted someone full time. It was time to get full time people. They were both fractional and they're awesome. And it's just where the company was, where I was, where we were going. It was time to get someone full time. And so they moved on and we completed their contracts. So suddenly my top two people are gone. And that was my top coach, who was also my COO. And she had been a product of the product. She came through our coaching. So she was just awesome. And then the other person was like our director of communications. And she had come through all the programs too. So they're real fans of the program. They knew the program. They managed stuff like they were. And so they were gone. And then on this journey, God says, want you to move cross country. And then he also says, I want you to just give away this thing you've been selling. So suddenly, God's literally calling me to just hold my hands like this with everything. And he even said, your wife and your kid, like you can't control what happens to them. You have to like be okay with everything. And by the way, can he say hi really quick?
Say
Jason,
yes,
this is my
Chase is
son.
always welcome. He's the sweetest.
Say hi,
Hey,
Miss
Chase.
Lori. Hi, Lori. Here, let
Oh,
me
he's
try.
so adorable. He makes me happy just seeing him.
Say hi, Lori.
Hi, Chase.
He has a car. Did you show her your car? Yeah, he's speaking so much, Lori. Can't wait till you see him again.
I
All
can't
right,
wait to
so-
see him again.
But he's off to do another adventure. So I had to with everything, and part of the reason I had a really tough time for a little bit, like I didn't know what I could sell. How am I going to make money? I'm giving away everything. Plus, it cost me to give away because I had people who just spent $20,000 4 months before, and I was like, well, that doesn't seem fair. I'm giving away this $20,000 thing, and other people just paid. So I gave all them $35,000 and other stuff. I gave them power days and access to masterminds and other things to make it fair, which I think I did more than make it fair. So, but having said that, I had to go like this with everything. And a really interesting thing came out of that. We did a mastermind, which we hadn't really done before. And then I offered private one-on-one coaching, which I hadn't done before. And I am getting so excited about the stuff that I'm going to begin doing with people. And what's interesting is when I go back to selling the speaker training, I just get how just easy it's going to be. It's going to be so easy. There's so many avenues, so many stages. So there's been like these huge blessings. The biggest thing is personally, I feel so much lighter. I think I let go of a bunch of crap when I was doing that breakthrough work, but also just being unattached and trusting God and making this step forward. It's like some huge weight has just lifted off. And it doesn't mean I don't have to, of course I have challenges. So it's like something massive has lifted off, and it's been really, really interesting. It's been really,
I can see that in you because I could see your, for a while you could definitely see you were kind of like, what am I doing? I'm, trying to looking for that path. Do I really trust this? And now you seem lighter. You seem happy. You just seem like you're very content and very at peace. So I see that in you.
thanks. Yeah. Things are just falling into place. It's just really nice. And if nothing else, I can know the rest of my life. I looked in the mirror and I said, like, I'm doing this, and I did it. And I was 100%. Well, actually I asked God, I was like praying and I was like, God, what grade did I get on the move to Florida? Because I thought maybe I got a C minus because I looked back and I had a hard time at Boise. I believe we get these times where our faith is, it's not they test our faith. It's a chance to measure our faith because of what happens. Like, how joyful did I stay? How much did I trust God was going to make it all work out? And I was like, well, maybe with everything I had to let go, I got an A plus or an A minus, maybe. A minus is what I was thinking. So I was thinking somewhere between A minus and a C minus. And I'm in prayer, and God goes, no, you failed. And I'm like, failed? What do you mean failed? He's like, no, you failed. You failed. He's like, but you can only fail if you're actually in the game. Can you be okay that you failed? And I was like, yeah, I can. And from that failing, it like redoubled my commitment to do better. And I think that being really straight with how well I was faithful with moving here, allowed me to actually have the faith to say, yeah, we're buying that house. Can I share something really cool with you, Lori?
Yes, please do.
We came up with a theme for our home, and it was based on I remember the day before we found the home, we were talking about how long it took Betsy's like, I feel like we're right on the edge of the promised land. And my podcast is called To the Promised Land Podcast. And it's not about Christianity. It's about everyone's coaching program takes people to a promised land, to an amazing outcome. And I looked at Betsy and I said, we are not going to be in the desert for 40 years. We are going to go in. We're going to say yes. We're going to boldly go in with faith. And so we were looking to name our new home. Our last home was called Blessings. And it was a beautiful home for beautiful souls to know God's beautiful love. And we feel God blessed us with that. Our new one is called, let me get the exact name of it. Oh, where did it go? I just had it right here. Oh, it's called Amuna Amana Ravaya. And Amuna is a word that means like, it's not I obey from obedience. It's that I have so much faith that from that I take action. And then Amana is we honor with what we've been given. We're faithful what we've been given. And then Ravaya, we live in abundance. And we wanted our house to be an overflow of abundance and love for people. So Amuna Amana Ravaya, we trusted enough to enter. We honor what we've been given, and we live in abundance. So that's our new home. And we have like a crest we're coming up with it. Actually, I'll show you this. Can I screen share? I don't know if I can screen share.
I don't know.
Share screen.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
So here,
okay, then please do.
oh, that's very cool. So I had ChatGPT make it. So this is, I don't know if you can see that. If you could bring it up, that's what is going to be our crest for our home.
Yeah, I don't
So anyway.
see it, so I'm not sure if it works, but we'll see it. I'm excited to see it, and my plans may have changed where I may be able to come down for the mastermind in September because my cousin might be
Yes.
canceling her vacation. So things work out when you put them out there. So
Yep. It's like something else that happened too. I've been wanting to launch a travel club forever. So we launched that for our high level people. We're going to go see, and by the way, I want to make sure I talk about your thing after I tell this one story. There's bioluminescent waters on the east coast of Florida in the summer. It's like you go on a glass bottom kayak, and as you put your paddle through the water, it lights up. It's like you're in the movie Avatar. It's just it's one of the most magical moments of my life I've ever had going. And if fish swim through, you see the fish go, whoosh, you see like a bolt of light go through the water. Just so we're going to do that. We're going to take people to like football games together, just have adventures and memories together. So awesome.
right.
So speaking
And
of which,
Iceland,
yes, and
I
they're going to have
looked.
a mastermind in Iceland. Yes, so it's just like all this cool ass stuff is happening. But if we hadn't been faithful, what would happen? Maybe none of it, right? And it's really stunning to me how when we're faithful, just stuff breaks off and breaks open, and then it makes it so much easier to take other big moves. So I do want to talk about you though, because you had like a commercial run about you doing transformational retreats. I was blessed, you guys, to go with Lori to Utila, and we mastermind back there. We scuba dove, and it was a phenomenal trip. So if Lori ever makes another transformational retreat available for her own, do it. And if you're a coach, Lori running events for you makes it so much easier and more profitable. So Lori, I just want to shout your praises. It was awesome.
Well, thank you.
Like,
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm really excited. I'm actually I'm hoping to do one possibly in December, and we've got one that I'm doing with some other people in your program, Amy Janice in your program, and some other women that we're actually doing one on visibility coming up. We're doing it in June in Las Vegas and in August in Virginia too. So we have both coasts, but I'm going to be doing one for Shiraz in Curacao in September. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be really fun. And hopefully we may go down to Mexico
Curacao?
in December. Curacao. Yeah. It's one of the ABC islands near Aruba, but it's a little
I
less
have not heard
touristy
about
than
this
Aruba.
trip. That
It's
sounds
September.
amazing. Oh,
We're just
that was
working out
gorgeous.
those details. So yeah, the retreats are amazing. And I'm one of, I've got a God nudge recently. I had taken Reiki training last year, and I enjoyed it, but it didn't really get into it. And I took my master training just recently. And as I was taking that, I realized, Reiki is energy that comes from God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And it's all about love and community. And it just hit me this time that this is everything I stand for. And this really is what I want for, the world: love, community, peace, joy, coming from, this healthy spiritual energy from God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And it's interesting that it just hit me as so clear that I've decided that I want to incorporate Reiki into my retreats, into my programs. So I'm actually going to start programs where I, retreat host. If they want to host a retreat, they can actually learn Reiki so they can teach it. Tonight, I'm actually starting to give away free Reiki sessions. I'm going to do them every Thursday night, because I think this energy can only improve the world and make people happier and bring it more love. So it's kind of my little God nudge as well. But retreats are amazing, and I love to plan them. And I'm going to help Jace with his travel club, planning all these trips and such. So it's really exciting. The future is just, I'm really excited about the next, the rest of my life.
It's awesome. That's so cool. So talk about giving things away. Should we talk about the other stuff?
Yes, let's talk about this.
So I have a program called Black Belt Speaker Training, and God put it in my heart to give that away. And so we, as a part of that, we have a 5-day breakthrough event. I know it's a serious investment of time to be there. Typically, it's a serious investment of money, except we're giving this away. And it is about, we have a set point for how much money we make, how big our business can be, how effective we are, how happy we are. And what people try to do is do all these external things, but their life never changes. They just keep getting the same stuff over and over and over. And if you look at how much money you've made probably the last 5 years, or what your body's been like, or your relationships have been like, probably it's been kind of the repeated patterns. So what we need to do instead is go in and change the internal set point. And when we change the internal set point, everything external changes. So this is a 5-day event about understanding why you've been stuck, how to get unstuck, and then actually doing the work to change your set point so you actually can have the life you want. So you make the money you want, you get the body you want, the relationships you want. And we find that people coming out of this make a ton more money. They get a lot healthier, a lot more peaceful, a lot more courage, a lot of breakthrough and leadership pieces in this. So normally it's just $5,000. And for your people, Lori, what we've been doing lately, we've been selling a $500 product and giving everybody the stuff as a bonus. For your people, we have a link. They can just get registered for free. It's coming up in Austin, Texas, April 21 through 25. And let me try and screen share again if I can. Let me see. Yeah. I think the way it works is I can screen share this, but then you've got to bring it into the active screen. Do you see it down there at the bottom?
Right. Hey, yeah. There we go. Got it. So
we'll put the link in the chat. This is all.
Yeah, the link will be in the chat. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be everywhere.
But you click here where it says reserve your spot, and then we're going to give you a discount code right here where it says coupon code, be big, give, and then click apply, and it will make it $0. You get in for free. So let me drop that in the chat right now, and I'll put the code in the chat as well. Do you want me to do it in the chat, in the studio chat, or
you can do it in the comments? I guess, put it in the comments.
Let me do the private one, and then
and then I'll copy it over. Yeah. So this is a great event. I will be there. I'll be on Jace's team for the event. I'm really excited for it. It's one of the best events I've ever attended, and I've been there twice.
Boom. I don't know if you could copy that, paste that over. Yeah, it looks like Christy just said, wow. Yes, Christy, it is a big wow. I hope you get there.
And I know Christy lives in Houston area, so she's not that far from Austin. Maybe she can make it, hopefully.
Awesome, yeah.
Okay. So it's in the chat. So
perfect. Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting, you guys. It is truly life-changing. And if you have a spouse or a business partner, bring them, because what you will do together is just so powerful. When you can go back into your daily life, having had this experience together, things just rock. They really rock.
Right. Or a teenage child. Last year we had a couple of 15-year-old boys there, and they got so much out of it. And it was so great to watch their growth and to just see everything they got from it. So. And Jace will be there. Yeah. Little Jace will be there. So.
Yeah, baby Jace will be there. He pops in and out. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's probably the biggest selling point.
Yeah. So yeah. So you talked a little bit about dynamic life and the type of changes people could get from this. Anything else you want to tell them about a preview, or you want them to be completely surprised?
We're gonna have an orientation call today. So when they register, we'll send them a replay of the orientation call to get them set up for it. But what we do there is it's the culmination kind of my life's work. So back when I started in seminars in 2002, I worked for another company. I launched my own personal growth seminar company in 2004. And what I realized is that there's one incident that happens to us when we're little, like little, and it frames our entire life. And most of our life is not spent actually going for what we want. Most of our life is actually spent avoiding a pain we experienced as a little kid. And so it just shows up as all these repeated patterns in our life and all this, people call it self-sabotage. And that's an okay way to put it, but it's really more like everyone's always creating all the time. It's just, are they creating in integrity with the life they want, or are they creating in integrity with this set point that happened when they were like 2.5 years old? And this is I'm talking very theoretical. Basically, we're to help set you free, unleash you to be the coach, the mentor, the world changer that you were meant to be. And the reason I do all of this is I believe you have a God-given mission only you can do, and it can be fulfilled and funded through your business. And so that's it. And if someone has questions and like, I'm not sure, just go ahead and register, and someone on team will reach out to you, and you'll get emails from us. And if you're registered, at least we'll know that you're interested. And then you could reply to one of the emails and say something like, hey, follow up with me. I have questions, or I want to make sure this is a good fit. And we'll have one of the team jump on a call with you. So that's the best next step. If you're even remotely interested, get registered like that. It doesn't
Right. Yeah.
obligate you or anything like that. It's just a great way to do it. Christy said, tell us more about it. Yeah, Christy. Oh my gosh. On that website we just posted, there's some copy on there. And then we'll have an orientation call today in a couple of hours. We'll send that orientation call out to you as well. But basically what I talked about, that first seminar company, oh gosh, there's so much to it. Like I really don't believe in trite personal growth answers anymore. It's too complex and it's too deep. But I'll just say this: when I talked about EBAR, your results in life are given by the actions you take. Like that's the direct thing. What actions you take is impacted by what you think you should and shouldn't do. And that's the world of the how-to seminars, how to make money, how to lose weight, how to find the relationship you want. But how-tos aren't enough. Brian Clemmer wrote a book called If How-Tos Were Enough, We'd All Be Skinny, Rich, and Happy. How-tos aren't enough because something else is running the show, and that's the land of the emotions. And the emotions we experience our subconscious programming. And really what we're experiencing is wounding that happened when we were little, and it's showing up today. And so one of the things we're fond of saying is you're not worth what you're paid what you're worth. And so on a subconscious level, most people have been programmed they're not worth that much, or they're only worth X amount. And so if we could get you to actually get just how magnificent and amazing and wonderful and well-made you are, and that God made you, loves you entirely, and then we turn you loose to do your business, what are you worth then? And so what we do is a lot of work. We also do a lot of leadership training in this, so you can step up. And then Lori, how do you explain what we do in these 5 days?
Yeah. It's personal growth, it's leadership, it's business, it's adventure, it's fun. I mean, it really is everything. The community is part of it. I mean, you get to know the people. It really is an amazing event in that, I mean, it's a true transformation. You come as one person and you leave as someone else. And that's probably the best that, and you leave as someone better. So.
Yeah, someone better. And you might say, well, why can't he explain it so well? Well, typically we don't sell this course standalone. Typically this is a part of our $20,000 a year coaching program. And it's training that will help any human being. And the way we've presented it though is, for speakers, what's in you magnifies on stage. So insecurities magnify, confidence magnifies, wounds magnify. And so we've had a lot of speakers go through, but really that's any entrepreneur. Whatever's inside of you magnifies when you go to make sales. And so if you have any insecurity, any hurt, any holdback, that's going to magnify in a sales environment. Anyone that's going to take the stage, the metaphorical stage, and want to change the world, all that stuff's going to show up. And so we want to do the work to have you become the best, most powerful version of you, the one who's able to say yes, the one who's able to get into that promised land so that you can make a huge, huge difference in the world. So how we do it, it's 5 days, and about a third of it's lecture, about a third of it is exercises and activities in the room, and about a third of it, you're out and about doing other breakthrough stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing that when you arrive, we take pictures of you, and then we take pictures of you at the end of the event, and you truly do look like a different person.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people say they look 10 pounds lighter and 10 years younger in just 5 days. Yeah.
Oh,
It's really cool. It's so I'm working on the wording to make this to explain this better standalone. I'm newer to offering this. God literally just told me in February, give this thing away. So normally, people are bought into it from the 20K program. So please give me some grace and mercy on finding the words for it.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah. It's such a generous offer, and it's amazing. And I can't wait to see how many people show up, because I just think the bigger it gets, the more energy is going to be there, and the bigger changes and transformation for everyone involved. So I'm really excited about it.
Here is a video that explains a lot about the context of what we'll be doing. I think it tees it up really, really well. If you could check that out.
Put that in the. Copy that link over.
You are a function of your conditioning. Everything that's ever happened to you, from your moment of inception to today. And what too many people do is they try and change the results without changing their conditioning. If you change your conditioning, your results automatically change. How do you change your conditioning? You change your actions, you change your words, your thoughts, and most importantly, you change your subconscious programming. And the reason most people fail at this, there's a concept called homeostasis. Homeostasis means several complex mechanisms work together to offset disrupting changes. And so what that means is your whole entire life has been built to maintain a certain status quo. And that includes the wiring in your brain, the peptides in your body, your social circles, your business circles, your environment. And so what happens is people change, or like lottery winners, for example, their set point is here. They make a ton of money and then they crash back because they never changed their set point. Yeah, and they actually wind up going lower because they never changed their internal set point. Mm-hmm. So if people have tried to lose weight or change their relationships or make more money and they failed, the good news is it's natural to fail because you're biologically wired to stay stuck. It's bad news because you're fighting nature. On the good news, you're fighting nature. Give yourself a little grace. Also, when you get a new set point, when you change your set point, several complex mechanisms work together to offset disrupting changes. So what that means is you'll quote unquote be stuck at your new set,
the newer place,
which is actually really wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect time. We're running to the end of our hour, so that is the perfect time to end. Stuck at the new set point, the set point that brings you more of what you want in your life and your business. So thank you so much, Jace. This has been a great conversation, and I'm so glad that you listened to the God Nudge. I think it really is going to change the world. And thank you, everyone, for joining this episode, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Christy, for the comments, and we'll see everybody. Bye.
As this journey comes to a close, remember, impact isn't found in grand gestures alone. It lives in the conversations we start, the connections we make, and the courage we choose along the way. Today's episode is proof that extraordinary people can create extraordinary change in extraordinary places, and often it starts closer to home than we ever imagined. So wherever your journey takes you next, lead with purpose, stay curious, and don't underestimate the power of one bold step or one meaningful ripple. If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to like, share, and follow. It's the best way to stay connected and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Until next time, keep moving forward because the world is waiting for what you bring to it.